Morning world, it's the 23rd of December 2020, it's about 8:30 in the morning UK time. Mars in the sky, which has been giving us a spectacular light show over this last 6 months, is now squaring Pluto precisely. The actual moment of precision is around about, 5 hours from the time I'm recording this, 5 hours time. And this is the third and final time that Mars is squaring Pluto in 2020. Mars is now moving forward in Aries, and it's going to be clearing Aries as we get into the second week of January, at which point it will then square Jupiter and Saturn for the third and final time of this long triptych of Mars squares. Mars square Pluto. When I see this in a natal chart, I talk to people about anger management. Let's deal with the difficult side of this first, and then I'll give you the positives. Because there's been a lot of anger this year. Been a lot of anger. And much of it has been raw, unbridled. It's been unlimited. It's been not just anger, it's been rage. It's been a kind of deep, irrational anger that if one were to explain it in terms of logic and rationality, there would be no explanation for it, no logic behind it. But that so epitomizes Mars square Pluto. Pluto deals with the unconscious, the subconscious, the psychological. It deals with obsessive compulsive, intense and extreme periods of crises and trauma. It deals with purging and detoxing, cleansing, purifying, eliminating, purging. It deals with transformation and regeneration and rebirth. Mars in Aries is no lightweight. Mars in Aries squaring Pluto in Capricorn since July of this year has brought a great deal of anger between the needs of Pluto in Capricorn, of a community, of the need for some type of structure in government and governance, versus with Mars in Aries, the needs and the desires and the immediacy of the wants of the individual free will, versus the need of the collective. There's been a major clash between people who who just going to do it their way no matter what. Now, this has only turned into being 10-15% of people who, regardless of society's balances and desires, will go out of their way to express their difference in some shape or form, whether this be in terms of political opinion or not obeying the conventions and norms of society, or just being downright cantankerous. I've done my fair share of this. Who hasn't? And now with Mars square Pluto for the third and final time, it seems that the collective anger, if you like, is coming out in a term of resentment, because it seems as if our party's been taken away from us. And we can't go out and get drunk or see our families or go and have a party as we normally do around this time of year. And there's a deep-rooted resentment here with that Mars square Pluto. And it's almost as if there's a desire to lash out against someone, something, anyone, anything who's saying, we can't do this. But there's this faceless government, although it's got its figureheads who are puppets. But it will pass. By tomorrow, Mars is pulling away from Pluto. In a week, the square is basically over. In 2 weeks, Mars is going to be leaving Aries, and it's not going to rejoin it for another couple of years, which a lot of people are going to be going, oh, thank goodness for that. But wait a minute. This is all the negative stuff. So let's look at the more neutral and positive side of this. The neutral side of this is that with Mars in Aries, we've been forced to do a lot of work on ourselves during this last 6 months. And with the square to Pluto, that involves going deep into our own unconscious, working with our own psychological insights and depths around ourselves and people around us. Doing what I've called shadow work. And many of us have been forced into it and are doing it kicking and screaming, and others are doing it willingly. And some aren't doing it at all. And they're the ones who are bitter and angry and looking for someone else to blame for everything that's going wrong in their lives. There's enough of them. But the essence of purging and detoxing oneself, of purifying oneself, of cleansing, of bringing out the poison. Often when I see Mars square Pluto in a chart, I recommend people, if they're younger, I say go down and do martial arts because you'll be a black belt by the time you're 12. It gives the ability to hone, sharpen and focus one's physical energy and to become a homeopathic laser or a really sharp scalpel rather than a blunt hammer. Mars square Pluto can be someone that's really angry in undirected, wild, random way, or it can be a sharp, focused, concentrated tool of transformation, of cutting away the poison and of clearing and cleansing and purifying. And now we've got the opportunity now as Mars squares Pluto for the final time to do one last incision, one final cut to eliminate that last bit of poison from within ourselves, both individually and collectively, and to actually look at how we've changed in this last 6 months, individually and as a planet, and what's happened in this last 6 months to us as individuals. The change is permanent. We can't go back to being the way we were because despite all of the pain, we have grown. Most of us anyway. We're going to see the results of this in the next few weeks, and it might get a little bit messy. Unfortunately, the time I'm seeing the most messiness is around the third week of January, which is the time of the new moon, and it's just before the American inauguration, which could get quite messy, but we'll look at that in a week or two's time in the new year. Meantime, we're topping out 2020. And as we clear Mars square Pluto today, now that we got Jupiter and Saturn in Aquarius, perhaps, especially, I think today the moon's in Aries, I'm not sure. Yeah, the moon's in Aries today, and it will be conjuncting Mars later today. So those of you who get clear skies tonight, late tonight UK time, the moon in the sky will be very, very close to Mars. So that should be quite an interesting sight. I'm not sure if it'll be conjunct, but it'll be pretty damn close. So one last deep dive into our own psychology, into our own shadow. This shadow work that we've been doing this year is going to be clear next year. We're not going to be doing anything like this. We're going to be dealing with much more external situations and adjusting to the new normal. And it's not going to be that difficult once we're into mid-February. Honest, it's not. Not from an astrological perspective. Remember, the planets impel, they don't compel. Astrology is not a tool for forecasting the future. And anyone who says they can predict the future accurately is wrong. They can't. But astrology is very good for specifying times and areas and defining elements of pattern. And what you do with that, of course, is up to you. So, do you want to be a lump hammer and angry, a sledgehammer, someone who's clumsy and oafish? Or do you want to be sharp, focused, directed and concentrated? With Mars square Pluto today, look at the way you've managed your anger in this last year and how have you channeled it? How have you worked with it? Have you become sharper? Watch this space. The next few weeks are going to be really interesting, but I've still got this degree of hope. Now, it's the 23rd. I've got 1 week to do the forecasts for the new year. They will be up by the 31st. Meantime, I think I'm going to go out for a long walk. Catch you later, world. Bye.